All right, good morning, everyone. It's 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and all time zones in between. Today is May 6th. I can't believe that. Cinco de Mayo was yesterday, 2021. You are on the show called On the Fly with Kai, where every week on Thursdays, we bring you tips, tricks, and hacks for an entrepreneur, whether you're a budding entrepreneur looking at it, wondering about it, or whether or not you've been around for a long time. And today, I'm going to interview on my show a colleague of mine that I've been so blessed to work with literally for over a decade now. And we've just had so much fun. In fact, we began collaborating when he was just kind of right out of the military, starting his first traditional business. And he had just come out of being a human intelligence collector from Monterey. Now he's Colorado based. He's an entrepreneur, amazing networker. But my favorite thing I think about him is he's an activist and he's my friend. I just enjoy the heck out of him. So please let me welcome to the studio, Chris Ward. Hey, Chris Ward.
Hey, Kai. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be invited on the Fly with Kai. So I appreciate it.
I know, right? And I feel like we're just going to have a living room talk because we talk almost every day. I love that. But hey, your background is so interesting. And because we're talking about tips, tricks, and hacks for the entrepreneurs, how did you become? That's my favorite question is how did you become an entrepreneur? Like, I know you came from the Army. Thank you for your service, where we talked about this, where you were really told what to do all the time. Like, I don't understand. It's got to be a big leap to go do your first venture, which was a jazz record label. Why did you do that? Why didn't you go traditional route? Tell us your story.
Well, it wasn't by choice. It was more by force. I had, human intelligence collector, one of the things that they sell you on when you join the military is all of the skill sets that you'll develop in your time in the military that translate over into our civilian counterparts. And that just wasn't true. In Monterey, California, there was nobody in my area that was looking for somebody with human intelligence background. Yeah, I could have joined the police force, but I felt like I was just trading one uniform for another. And I'd applied to a lot of different places, and I was looking for jobs that I thought fit my skill set and my interest, and nobody was calling me back. So I decided I was kind of pushed into needing to make money, and I decided to follow a childhood dream of mine. I said, you know what, I've always wanted to start a video production company. And that's what January of 2007, I started Homeless Island Pictures. And not shortly thereafter, found a defunct jazz record label that I resuscitated and started my entrepreneurial journey there, having no formal education in how to run a business or video production for that matter. So it was fun.
I think most of entrepreneurial is like trial by error, like there's no book, and it's unfortunate, right? We don't teach that really in schools or colleges. I mean, maybe a few select colleges. And it was probably quite an eye opener, right?
Oh yeah. It was one of those things that the more you learn, the more ignorant you feel, because you start diving in. You're like, wow, there's so many aspects of running a business, because even if you're passionate about what it is, whatever your trade is, you may even know that place very well. Like you may have been raised as a roofer. But once you open up your own business and you realize that there's accounting and there's sales and marketing and if you bring on employees, you have employer-employee issues and so on and so forth. And so the further I got into it, the more I realized that I had to learn. And it was daunting most days.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, you have to figure out your own internet and your marketing and your web presence. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I know that as guests here today, they can also ask questions and we can see the questions. So if you're watching us on Facebook or on YouTube Live, you can actually type in a question and we can see it. So just FYI. So Chris Ward, you said that it was actually an asset that your human intelligence collection career uniquely made you positioned for being able to be out in sales and marketing and in networking. I just don't understand, how is that translatable? So tell us, because I know that's kind of AKA getting information out of people.
Well, we all do it naturally. I think that we seek out people and we try to expand our network, and the military just has a training course for that, is how to network. Now, what we're seeking, where you might be looking for prospective clients, with us, we were looking for terrorists and war criminals and organized crime figures. And so being able to network, I can't just walk around town saying, hey, I'm looking for this terrorist. Does anybody know where he's at? So I have to network through, various circles to get to the information that we needed. So they had what they called priority intelligence requirements, PIRs, that we would meet, usually on a Monday morning, first thing, and they'd say, hey, here's what we're trying to get, go out and into your network and get this information. And so the fear factor was really reduced, because in the sales, how it translates to sales is I'm not scared to meet with people. I'm not intimidated by anybody, because I'm not worried about them pulling a gun up from under the table and shooting it with it, which was a genuine concern with some of my, my assets that I worked with in Sarajevo. So I was not only learned how to network effectively, but also, that I'd already created that thick skin as I moved about the business community in Monterey.
Wow. Well, I want to, welcome Amy Doyle. She's excited for this episode too. So now you're an entrepreneur and you don't know what you don't know and you're drowning. And that's totally my story too. And I was forever grateful for a plug and play. How important was that you found a company that does most of the heavy lifting for you? Talk about that, how you transition to work for kind of a franchise business model where the website's done, the marketing's all done. Tell us about that transition.
We were shopping for franchise opportunities. When I say we, is because my business partners and I, that they actually owned the recording studio. I was just essentially using their space for my video production company and working out of their space. And we looked at other businesses when we lost our company a year later. We were just like, hey, what franchise models are out there? And we were already priced out. Anything that even looked like something that we could be passionate about was too costly. So we opted. But the thing that we liked about it was the fact that one is that we didn't have to, when I started my video production company, I had to hire somebody to design the logo, build out the website. I had to get a marketing specialist to talk about how we're going to market these services, so on and so forth. So it was very daunting when you have to create it. But when you buy a franchise, they have all those proven systems of success in place. Now, of course, they give that contract that says you're probably going to fail anyway. But this gives us the free and clear that if you fail, it's not our fault. So I like that. So I was really attracted to the franchise model. And when I looked at this, I was like, yeah, I don't have to create anything. It's already a proven system. I don't even have to do the work myself. I really just have to tell people that it exists. So it was a very attractive business opportunity.
Well, and it's funny, and it still can take up a lot of your time, depending on now with social media and, all the different things that come at an entrepreneur. And it seems like, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, it's not easy, but it's easier than ever with Canva and all of these tools for the do-it-yourselfer. And I know you and I are obsessed with technology, and I love it. I really, really, really love it. Now, I'm about here on technology, and literally you're about here on technology. But I feel like, a lot of our colleagues and a lot of our other business owners, they really we had to, I hate this word though, it's such a cheesy buzzword, pivot a year ago. And, I give myself a little bit of credit. I pivoted super fast. So did you. You and I both just went whoop, right? And didn't miss a beat at all. And in fact, if anything, my income went up during this, where some people went down, because I just figured, let's go for it. And how have you been able to do that and embrace technology? Was that always something that you were excited about, technology? How did that translate for you?
I've always identified myself as a futurist, and that's just recognizing directions that people are going to go in. And sadly, I don't capitalize them on as well. If I'd have known what Zoom was going to do, I would have bought stock in the company back in 2019, because it was 2019. It was early in the year that I was watching a presentation by an author, and he was doing a Facebook Live, and he had a slideshow presentation. And I saw the watermark down in the corner that said Zoom. And at that time, there was a few people that were doing presentations, but they'd have their presentation boards in the background, often in reverse, and it just looked stupid. So when I saw this author doing this, I contacted Zoom and I said, how do I get that ability? Because we do a lot of PowerPoint presentations. I said, it's so clean, it's so neat, and I can broadcast on Facebook. Sign me up. So I got on there, but it was a new technology. So I started going through the tutorials to make sure I understood how everything did, practiced it quite a bit before I took it out to market to I didn't want to cut my teeth on prospective clients, so I saved them my learning curve by just doing it myself for colleagues and friends and so on and so forth. And by the time it became the corporate system for how we deliver our product or our services, take them to market, I was already very well versed in how to use Zoom and other technologies that exist and the like.
I know it was so funny because, you and I both came early to it, and we insisted that the whole team kind of shift and pivot to Zoom. And I remember we got a lot of grief in 2019. They're like, we've been doing conference calls on the phone for 15. And I'm like, okay, it's called Who Moved Your Cheese, right? So if you're not growing, you're dying, right? So I'm sure there's going to be another, platform like this is the other platform I've been using, right? Not just Zoom. This is a lot more sexy and fun. So I think that people that love technology like you and I, that we're not afraid of it, like can't break it, like it's super fun, seem to fare much better in business. True?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the car did not make sense to people who rode horses. Any advance in technology, you have those people that say, well, if men were meant to fly, they would have wings. It's just, there's always going to be the laggards, the last people, they say that, these are the people that would still be using a rotary phone if they were still on sale.
Right? So funny. What would you say then, like, because you've had a level of success and in your current company, what would you say if you were to start over again today in this, not your new business, but right, not your jazz record label, but in your franchise, what would your self today go back and tell yourself getting started? Because I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are like, you're right, I don't want to go traditional route, spend a bunch of money, reinvent the wheel. I'll do a franchise model. What would you have done differently, just right out of the chute? Advise your old self.
I was blind to the fact that I thought that this would be a turnkey business that would take off without my own, with little to no of my own effort. And I haven't seen a business yet that people can start. And a lot of them are fairly simple systems. We have a very simple system, but it still takes work. And I became discouraged when I found out that not as many people thought that they could benefit from our services as I thought. When I first looked at this, I thought this was revolutionary. I was like, everybody's going to sign up and I'll be a billionaire in 6 months. And it just wasn't the case, because this is one of those advancements in technology, if you will, is the service that we provide. And there's still people that clinging to the old system. And so not only do we need reforms in the justice system period, but just in the delivery of those services. And so if I were to go back and tell myself, be patient, it's going to happen. You just need to make sure that you discipline yourself and work harder. So.
And it's funny because you called yourself a futurist, and certainly, our business model epitomizes that, so it really is the wave of the future. Now, I think that it's interesting because I have done, Amy's like, so true. I agree. So I have done business models because I thought that it was going to be for money. Like I was like, oh, health insurance, that sounds great. You're going to get residuals. I don't really know anything about health insurance. I'm not a big fan of health insurance. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a good reason to start a business. Like, at least you started a business in a jazz record label because you were excited about jazz. Like, I was not excited about what I was doing. And then I saw this social, and they call it social entrepreneurialism now. And that, to me, is the winner chicken dinner. Everybody's doing it, whether it's making socks where you're giving some money away to charity, right? Like, I love that component of that. How important has that been to you in the mission and, where you're at today? Just the social entrepreneurial part of it.
Well, and we've talked about this. I can't do anything else. What our services provide, as far as, this really connects to my heartstrings, because as you mentioned in the beginning, I'm an activist on a wide range of different causes. I'm not the keyboard warrior where I just play on Facebook and argue with people. I'm out at protests, I'm voting, I'm supporting legislation and candidates that I feel align with my energy, my goals. And so I really do participate. And with this, this is truly answering, and that's what a social entrepreneur does, is finds opportunities that, could support or alleviate any community problems that are out there. And I remember Bill Gates said this back, it was probably 15 years ago at a CSA convention, stated that corporations in the 21st century that fulfill a need will be the ones that really thrive. And the foresight of that, and we're seeing it more and more today, that people are taking a deep look at companies and how they benefit the community. And if they don't, a lot of people pull their money out of the, they're like, hey, I'm unsubscribing. I'm not buying your products anymore because, your products are made in in sweatshops. They don't want to support that anymore. So people are really being responsible consumers more so than ever. And that's part of that, social entrepreneurialism is how, we're socially conscious consumers as well.
Yeah. I mean, we vote with our dollars.
Yeah.
So, you don't have to support something that you don't believe in, and you can buy American made if that's what you want to do. And so I couldn't agree with you more. And I think the reason it resonates with me too is I have a women's studies minor and I have a sociology degree, and we were protesting back, in college and getting arrested and sit-ins and all. Yeah. So it really spoke to me as well. And then health insurance, not so much, right? How important is, because we're big fans of Jim Rohn and professional development, and luckily our company really loves us to continue to grow and whatnot. How important has professional and personal development? Like, I know you spend money on coaches and do all of that. Tell someone who's brand new how important that is, if you're a brand new entrepreneur, that sort of working on your mindset.
It's critically important because, they talk about you're only going to earn kind of up to the amount of the person that you are and the value that you bring to the community. And the better you are in yourself. I mean, even when people look, when I saw Pitbull speak at a convention, I never would have thought that he was as personally developed and that he actually goes on tour with Tony Robbins. And when I heard him speak and the importance of personal development in his life, I was just blown away. And so we see people, and often we make assumptions that their success or whatever, what came to them easily. And when you dig in deep and you find out that the personal development behind the scenes really propelled them to the level of success that they're experiencing today. And so for our income to grow, we have to grow. And so when we tell people we always are offering up books and audios and so on and so forth, we're not saying it I don't make a dime by referring all these books. I'm doing it because I believe in the content of the book, and I think that somebody would get value out of it. So personal development is critically important for any entrepreneur, not just personally, but professionally. I mean, they should be diving in, reading about, even understanding sales and marketing, in the sales process, understanding accounting, taxes, so on and so forth. If you should be studying every aspect of your business, even if you're not doing it, you should at least know how to do it. So yeah, it's very important.
Yeah. And I know that you and I are studying a lot of social media right now, trying to crack the code on that. So, whatever, because we're on lockdown, so where else are you going to find people to talk to? So I love that about you too. I know that, so leaders are readers. And if anybody's interested, we do have a monthly book club, put it in the chat. We'll reach out to you, let you know we read a book a month. And then, and it's not necessarily work related. It's just whatever, read a book and show up and we'll discuss the business books. And we have all the business books for the end of the year. So we can share that with you as well, if you're interested. But I also know how important goal setting is. Now, I've missed every goal I've ever set, but at least I'm a little further along the next day than I am the day before. Maybe talk to people about goal setting and how that has played into success for you and in your business.
Having goals established, and I like to think of more as targets, where if you do miss it, you don't lower the target. You just keep it right where it's at, and you just figure out, do your plan, do review why did you miss your target? And typically it's just not enough of the proper activity, regardless of what business you're running. So having a clear, defined, written goal, because I know a lot of people have dreams. So they have these ideas in their head, but once you move that idea down to paper and it's a very specific goal that you can measure and it has a date attached to it. So as an example, I'm part of a group called the 3 to 5 Club. And the premise of it, it's not a networking group as it is more of like a think tank for business owners who want to build a business that they can walk away from in 3 to 5 years. But it's not necessarily that you want, like, I'm not going to walk away from LegalShield in 3 to 5 years. What it is that you build a business and you have all a duplicatable system in place that if you wanted to walk away or you wanted to sell your business, you absolutely could. The business is not wholly dependent on you. And so now I said, August 22nd of 2022 marks my 15 years with the company. I want to have a business that if I want to take off for 3 months and travel the world, that I could do that and it would not adversely impact my income. So now I've created a clearly defined goal, what that equates to, what is measurable, and now we create the strategies, and the system processes to make sure that that goes in place. And then as you're going along, it's like, am I on target or am I not? If I need to adjust, now I can do that. Now, if I don't get there by August 22nd, I can look back and say, what did I not do to fulfill my goal? So you're absolutely right, is that regardless of where you're at in your business, write it down. Don't be emotionally attached to it, but make sure that now you can kind of set your sails depending on how you're moving towards your goal. And if you're way far off, maybe you need to, clarify your goal. And it's also got to be aligned with your, with what you're passionate about. Because if you're not passionate about it, you're probably not going to hit your goal anyway. Like me getting down to 210 pounds. Probably not going to happen.
You might get there, but you may not be able to stay there, right? So I've been there. Hello. It's so funny. I almost used that exact mug today. That's funny, Chris. So I mean, we're really buddies. I mean, like, this is like a little locker room talk for us. But I feel like, people have these big goals, right? But it's also, what do you do day to day? Like, I remember our number one income earner would say, I love that you're going to want to do this and own this house and that, but what are you going to do today? Because it's the little things that we do every day that compound over time. Can you speak to that too? Because I think you can't just have a goal and look at it and then like 2 years later be like, dang, why didn't it happen? Right?
It's your thoughts, your actions, and your beliefs, and that is the biggest challenge. We call it OD on PD, as we've referred to a lot, where people spend all their time on personal development, but no time in activity. And so then they get discouraged by the fact that they're not making the income that they want. And immediately they start pointing their finger saying, well, that's their fault, or it's their fault, or, nobody in my community. I'm like, what? Nobody in your, my father, when I showed him our service, he's like, well, nobody in Ohio uses attorneys. I was like, what kind of madness is that? So I was like, do you speak for Ohio? When did you get elected to that position? So, but people can look at the paint, the picture on the wall and stare at that Maserati. And that was, I think it was one of the fallacies of The Secret, was people believing that you could just think about something and it's going to manifest in your front yard. But they've come back since then. Every single one of those people have come back since then and said, you have to move in the direction of your goals. Like, there has to be activity. You can't think about it all day long and it's just going to appear. You have to take steps in that direction. And so a lot of people can get lost in the dream without taking the steps. So,
I mean, and it really is really obvious. And one of our mentors said, either you're not doing something enough, and you're not doing something, or you're not doing something right. And 9 times out of 10, it's just not enough, because it is easy to get lost in the woods and think that you're working, and this is what I call it, is like you're working in your business, but not on your business. So that's like, what is my website going to look like? Like, that's not going to make you money. What makes you money, right, as a business owner? And I think you hit it on the head too, with regards to being able to have a business that you could walk away from. Like, I talked to this gal and she does boot camps. Okay, great. How long? What happens if you get injured? What happens if you want to go on vacation? I mean, you're just not going to do boot camps. I mean, there's no way to do that. So we'll have a sub every now and again. I'm like, I would hate to have a business where I had to show up. And it was 100% reliant on me, because my mom died one year and I took almost the whole year off, and thank goodness, the business model kept going. So I think people, when they start a business, they really should think a little bit more, don't you, about what does this thing look like, this vehicle? How much work is it going to be? Who's doing the heavy lifting? Where is it going to take you? How much is your burn rate? What is it, because your overhead, even in a business like ours, which is really small, if you're not careful, can get out of control as well. So
absolutely.
So if you were to leave somebody with maybe just a couple, 3 tips, your best couple tips for an entrepreneur, what would it be?
Well, I think the first one is finding a business model that you're passionate about, something that really aligns, that's kind of sexy, that's juicy for you, that's going to wake you up in the morning, and that you're going to do it. And I tell people that if you find something that you would do for free, that's a key indicator that this might be the right business opportunity for you. So that's one, is just find something that you're passionate about. The second is, as you just mentioned, it is having leverage. Because even if you are passionate about it, you're going to have bad days. You're going to be sick. You're going to have a death in the family. And if the business, and this is what I talk to people that they're very hands-on, tattoo artists, massage therapists, so on and so forth, doctors, dentists. If you physically have to be in the room with your client to make money, there's no leverage there. Now, if you've got 20 other massage therapists working in your office and you get a little piece out of everything, that's leverage. But if it's just you and that's your business, that's a scary place to be, because as you mentioned, if you get taken out of the game, then you have no income coming in. So that would be my second piece of advice, is definitely to find leverage and create a goal for where you want your business to be. Even if you don't sell it, a lot of people, whenever you create your business plan, is you have to create an exit strategy. What is that going to look like? Where does your business have to be, or what value level does it have to be that you could turn around and sell it? Because I frankly met some business owners here that are trying to sell their business, but their business isn't worth anything. Their business was based on them being in their business.
Yeah.
This is from a business coach. Met another one that was a auto broker, and so on and so forth. And I was like, yeah, but that was just you. You're not really selling a system unless you're coming along with the package. And so, creating that exit strategy for your business, even if you never do, having it on paper, what do I want my business to be valued at? Where do I want to be, in 5, 10, 15, 20 years? Yeah, that's going to move and it's going to change. But create that game plan. Where would you walk away from, and at what level? What do you want the valuation of your company to be before you would sell it? So,
and I like the fact that when you own your own business or you're an entrepreneur, that no one's going to push you out when you're 50, 60. I mean, you could work till you're 100. And I was listening to some interesting stats that, like, people that retire, right, then they slow down, they're pretty much dead afterwards. So you want something to continue to be passionate about. So my recommendation is, I think, especially if you retire early or something, find something to do that, whether it's volunteering or whatever, just to keep going and keep yourself super active. Now, I know you and I are huge fans of Entrepreneur. I'm constantly watching Shark Tank. I got my husband on it. I'm just anything entrepreneur, I'm all about it. He likes Bar Rescue now. I mean, it's kind of funny. In closing, Chris, would love for everyone to be able to, if they want to have a conversation with you about business, about entrepreneurialism, about activism, about social justice, about anything, how would they get in touch with you, sir?
Well, I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn first. So just look for me, Chris Ward, and then look for Legal Shield out of Colorado. You can be able to find me there. On Instagram, you can follow me at Ward of the World all together. And then just Google me. You can find my contact information. I'd love to have that conversation, look at other assets that are available for entrepreneurs to reduce their costs and help protect and grow their business.
All right, so I just put your LinkedIn and your Instagram into the chat right there, War of the World. And with that, I just want to say thank you so much. This was probably one of my easiest interviews because we've been working together for over a decade. I talk to you almost every day.
14 years in August.
I know, but you got to quit saying that because it makes me sound old. But it's just been so much fun working with you, and you just bring a really unique perspective. So thank you so much. And with that, everyone, this concludes another On the Fly with Kai. We come to you every Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific, all time zones in between, and bring you some of the best support people to talk about what is it like to be a business owner? What if you're thinking about it? So we love that we bring you the tips, tricks, and hacks for entrepreneurs. With that, thanks again, Chris Ward. Take care. Take charge, everybody. See you over the top. Bye-bye.